So, arteriosclerosis is a type of vascular disease that manifests itself in the blood vessels. These are specifically the arteries where the blood vessels are carrying oxygen away from the heart and to different extremities in the body. Arteriosclerosis is when these blood vessels become damaged due to things like high cholesterol, more specifically, and high blood pressure, diabetes, other things like that. When the cholesterol is carried through these arteries, the LDL molecules, they start to build up in between the specific walls of the artery, and it causes the artery to bulge and then create a more slim opening in the artery. And this makes it more difficult for blood to pass through. We're going to go through a diagram on what this may look like and how this can develop over time. Arteriosclerosis develops slowly over time, specifically as cholesterol and fat move throughout the artery. As this moves throughout the artery slowly over time, it develops plaque within the artery. Once that plaque builds up, it begins to restrict the artery, and then therefore it's restricting the blood flow. And then that limits the amount of oxygen-rich blood that our bodies can receive, because that's what that blood is doing, is taking oxygen to our extremities. So causing that artery to narrow is the main thing that happens during any form of arteriosclerosis. The main factor that it does that is harming us is that it's reducing the supply of oxygen-rich blood that we need to our extremities and to our other organs in the body. So first, let's take a look at what we have here in blood vessel. We're going to identify the 3 different layers of the blood vessel wall so we can better understand where the plaque specifically builds up. On this outermost layer here, this is going to be the tunica externa. And then we're going to go to the middlemost layer, the tunica muscularis. And now with the innermost layer, we're going to go with the tunica interna. So now let's look at the blood vessel. When the specific blood vessels are flowing through, which we have here in black, they have enough room and everything is flowing through the blood vessel. Let's go this way. Over time, cholesterol begins to also flow through those arteries, and then they begin to stick here on the walls of the arteries. So over time, these molecules stick to the walls of the arteries, and then they build up and form as plaque along those arteries. And then over more time, they become bigger and take up more space. So what happens is they begin to get through the epithelial cells here, and this plaque really is forming in between the tunica interna and the tunica muscularis. And that is what's going to cause plaque buildup and cause narrowing of this artery here. So as this narrows, specifically in between the tunica interna and the tunica muscularis, it's going to restrict the pathway that the blood is going to flow, which is going to make it harder for the blood vessels to carry oxygen through, because it does not have as much room to flow through the blood vessels as it did before. So we can also try to look at it from the end perspective. If this is the end of the blood vessel, right? So we're looking at it, let's say down into the blood vessel. This is the space that the blood vessels we would have in black all have the ability to come through all this space. So with arteriosclerosis, you begin to get that plaque buildup, and it's going to push the walls of that out. And it's going to, now you only have this amount of surface area for those blood vessels to get through.